Fulham 3, Spurs 0 in what can only go down as an absolute battering. An absolute battering in the end for Tottenham Hotspur today, away from home, looking to capitalise on Aston Villa's the victory at Aston Villa last week, looking to put real pressure on the Villains tomorrow when they play their Premier League game. But they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't. I mean, they stumped up nothing. And I'm a stats man. I like statistics. I think they tell us a story of a game, but you have to research them. The game finished, I think it was 16 shots to 14 in Fulham's favour. But when you go back down to when the third goal went in, it was 13 shots to 6. So Spurs had a lot of shots after Fulham went 3-0 up. And with a couple of good chances, Timo Werner missed an absolute sitter. Son maybe should have scored. They were poor today, but the rest of them were very speculative. They weren't real chances. Half chance would even be a little bit of a push. They were comprehensively battered, dismembered, destroyed and embarrassed today, Tottenham. Their Champions League hopes are, of course, not over at this point. Nobody could say they are, but it is a humbling and a painful day for them after such a fantastic win just last week against Aston Villa. And of course, City, we knew they were going to go through. They went through with such comfort and ease today. I know some people may be a little bit salty and say, well, 2 lucky goals, the ball deflected. Listen, they went 2-0 up and they barely tried again after that. And they still absolutely fundamentally dominated that game from front to back and inside out. It was a very, very poor day for Newcastle. Another season without silverware. The curse of 1962 continues for them. And I'm sure, we're going to get some Newcastle fans to come on and talk about that. I want to get your opinions on that game as well. But City are through. We all thought they would. And interestingly, it's the first time now City have broken a record. First team ever to make it into 6 consecutive FA Cup finals, which is a madness. I had no idea. That's another record for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. But on Spurs, this game was so intriguing for me. Put it on. I love the FA Cup. I hate when Premier League and FA Cup games are on at the same time. I don't think they should be allowed to be played at the same time. That's my humble. From the quarterfinals onwards, 110% not. But they were. So I had both games on. And I thought that Spurs were majestic. They were brilliant. They were did I say finals about the City thing? Cool, semi-finals. Sorry, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean. Semi-finals, I apologize. But last week, Spurs were majestic. They were deadly. They were so resolute at the back. There was a strength about them to go away to one of the hardest grounds in England in the last 12 to 18 months. And not just win, not smash and grab, but to completely outclass Aston Villa. We all remember what Aston Villa did to Manchester City at that ground. They probably should have conceded a penalty to Arsenal, but they beat them. And what Spurs did to them last week was nothing short of spectacular. It was absolutely out of this world. Yes, they remained in 5th, but of course, they want to capitalize on that. They played their game. They've almost played their game in hand as well. Not with Villa, because Villa play tomorrow, but with everybody else. And this was the time to capitalize on that, to pull yourself away from Man United in 6th, who I don't think will come in the top 5 this year. We've not been consistent enough. But football is a humbler. And can Man United get 7 more points than Spurs in the last 7 games? You can't say that's impossible. You may not think it will happen, but it being impossible is another thing. And it's matches like this, away at the Fulhams. And now, no disrespect to Fulham, they play good football. They're a good team. But this is 12th in the league. This is, I think, where Spurs have to look at this and say, these are the areas that we need to improve on. We have a style of play that's being developed, but better players are needed that can produce more consistently. You cannot be looking to make it as a regular team into the Champions League and then a team that challenges for the title when not just losing these games, but performing like this. It's such a poor day at the office. I'm looking now just at the list of players that started the game. I'm thinking to myself, who really stood out and had a good performance? I can't really think of anyone. You may actually say Vicario, even though he conceded 3 goals, he did pull off some good saves. Maddison was comfortable on the ball, but didn't really do anything. And that's the problem with a player like Maddison. The eye test was still passed today, but the end product was absolutely non-existent. I thought Son was so poor for a man of his qualities. Brennan Johnson, he looked like that flop player the likes of Kate have called out in the past. And I thought the midfield of Basuma and Sarr was absolutely bossed and dominated by the likes of Lukic and Paulinia. It was man for man, player for player. It was a really poor performance from Spurs. I thought tactically as well, from the first whistle until the last whistle, Fulham had Tottenham's number today. And Big Ange was too slow to react. He didn't make the right changes, and he could never get Spurs back into this game at any point. And it will be a very, very disappointing evening indeed, I think, for everybody associated to the club, especially last week after we had a number of Spurs fans that came onto our reaction show. We had a lot in the comments, and then we had a few people that also said on other shows in the week that they think they can come third. So anyone who was predicting third, and they didn't say which club, I think they were alluding to Arsenal. They said they think they're going to finish third above Arsenal. They didn't quite say Arsenal's name. They didn't want to say their name, but they said one of the top 3 currently is going to collapse and they'll catch them. Well, they're currently 10 and 11 points off respectively, those top 3. There's a big dent in what those Spurs fans think are going to happen. Plus, we have had 3 or 4 Spurs fans pull out of the match reaction. Suddenly, girlfriends have booked dinner tables, parents are doing X, Y, and Z. They've got to go out all of a sudden. They didn't say that at 0-0. But when that third goal went in, the speed of which those DMs came into me was, honestly, they'd beat Usain Bolt in a race, I'm telling you now. Terry, do you think Spurs will bottle top 4? Look, they weren't in the top 4 today. They weren't in the top 4 yesterday. So using the word bottle may be a little bit too extreme at this point. But according to a few of the in-the-know journalists, top 5 is probably going to be good enough in the Premier League to make it into the Champions League next year. I think coming 5th, if they miss out narrowly, some will say they bottled it because being top after 10 games and they fell away. But most Spurs fans, when we're being fair and when we're being honest, felt they were going to fall back. It was almost, we're punching well above our weight. Things will settle down. So for the majority of Spurs fans and the majority of football fans, we all knew there'd be a decrease. I still predicted them to make the top 4. I believed it would have been Villa that tapered off worse. And I thought that Spurs would continue to get better because I do think their squad overall is better than Villa's. So I don't know if you can call it bottling it per se. I don't think Spurs are collapsing overall right now. I just think we're seeing the manager in his first year in the Prem with a squad that is just about good enough to qualify for the top 4 at its best. So a lot more investment needs to come into this team. However, they end up finishing 6th. And for instance, Manchester United finished above them after having one of our worst seasons in the history of our football club. Then you have to criticize it in a different way. Man United can't lose more games in a league season since they were relegated. Can't have the worst win percentage of something like 72 years. Lose at home to Bournemouth for the first time, conceding 3 goals for the first time in our club's history, plus a plethora of other records like that broken this year, and still finish behind us. Not when the world is waxing lyrical about everything you're doing. That is where it becomes a far more painful season, because I think Champions League football will be a great reward for this Spurs team. And a lot of people say you shouldn't celebrate the top 4. Top 4 is not a trophy. Champions League qualification is not a trophy. I hear this nonsense all the time. Those same very people, they're nearly always part of Standard FC. Those same very people say Arsenal can't win the Champions League. They don't have enough experience in it. And yet get angry when people celebrate getting into the Champions League to gain experience in it to become a better team. Make it make sense. It's a paradox. It doesn't make any sense. You can't twist it. Spurs need to be in the Champions League. Yes, for money, and yes, it helps attract people. But if they have serious ambition of becoming the top side, you've got to play in that competition regularly. Most clubs that spend a long time out of it or haven't had a long time in it need to build up a pedigree. And it's been a few years now. Do me a favour, Kate. She's the only Spurs fan who's turned up backstage. Put your hand up and tell me how many years it's been since Spurs were in the Champions League. Is it 2 or 3, 4? Yeah, I don't know. They were in it 2 last season, weren't they? What last season? But it's only been like once, I think, in the last 5 years. Maybe I might be wrong since the final. But you guys in the comments will know as well. It's only been once in the last 4 or 5 years, anyway. So the point is, any experience they built up on the Poch will start to dwindle away because it wasn't 20, 30, 40 years of experience. And they need to get more. So it's a huge thing now if Spurs don't make a Champions League position from this point. It really is. And look, I'm a big fan of Ange Postecoglou. I love what he said this week about the calling fans that are not from the town the club's based in or the city the club's based in plastics. I think that when I grew up, what a plastic fan was. And by the way, I had a friend who was from Manchester, supported Man United, but he was a plastic. He wouldn't be able to name you half the squad, knew nothing about the club's history. You'd say, oh, good result today. And he'd go, oh, did we play? That's a plastic fan who says he's a fan, but doesn't support the club. You're not a plastic fan if you travel halfway around the world twice a year, spending damn loads of money watching your team. You're not a plastic fan getting up in the early hours of the morning to watch your team. Some people also choose to support teams from the other side of the world that don't even win because they love the Premier League. They love English football. They're not plastic. So I loved what Big Ange did there. I love his brand of football. And if I remove my bias for a moment, I don't want Spurs to get better as a Man United fan, the same as I don't want Arsenal being this good, the same as I don't want Liverpool and City to be where they are. But if I remove that and I'm Terry Fleurs, the host of the Football Terrace, I really want to see the right players purchased for Big Ange Postecoglou because I think he can develop something very potent, very dangerous, and very deadly in the Premier League. But I looked at the game tonight and listen, Dragusin, he had a poor night tonight. But listen, I've seen one of the best centre-backs in Premier League history have a nightmare on his debut in Nemanja Vidic. I'm not saying he's Vidic level. You've got Udogie, who I think's been excellent this year, but he's still young and he's still raw and he's got to learn. And the same for Basuma and Sarr, especially Sarr. They started the season like a freight train, but young players are going to be up and they're going to be down. So they really need to improve on those areas, I think, in the summer. And then when it comes to the attacking options, yes, they've scored, I think, 59 goals this year, which is good. Son is fairly prolific. But I still think they've got to invest some more money to bridge that gap between where they are with goal scoring and clutch moments in league games, what they had with Harry Kane, because they could have a bad game with Harry Kane there and they'd still nearly always have opportunities to win it. So I think still multiple areas need to be improved in this team. And I'm sure there's other positions that Spurs fans want to talk about as well. But I want to get your views. I want to get your opinions on this in the comments section below. They were battered today. I'm sure Spurs fans feel embarrassed about that result. But to say they've bottled the top 4, bottled Champions League positions, it's too early to say that. And I don't even know if you can say that about Spurs this year with the preseason expectations and the teams that they're competing against. But with the top 5 sides almost guaranteed a place in next season's UEFA Champions League, I think they can't afford to drop any lower than that. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please get that done. I'm going to go through some super chats now before bringing out my brilliant panel. I knew this was coming. Daniel says, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. They did today. They certainly did today. Dyke here says, hope you better, bro. May God heal you always. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting there. I've just got, the other night, it was a weird one. I had a bit of a cold all week. And then suddenly out of nowhere, I got it with a fever like I've never had before. And I had this migraine that literally came on like this and knocked me off my feet. So obviously I went and got checked out at the hospital because you just want to make sure everything's all good. And they said I was all right, but I've been, and then I had the kids by myself all weekend up until like having to work now. And that is a stress by itself. So yeah, not feeling particularly great, but this is work, but I enjoy it. And it's good to have a smile on your face. Hurry up, Tell, and get those Spurs fans on. I will say, Kate, Alan, I applaud you. I applaud you. I'm not going to name the people that have pulled out. I will say this. Deji never confirmed. So I'm not getting on Deji. Will Stewart never confirmed. And I'm not saying anything else. Young Daniel pulled out. He said he's got to go out straight after the match. And a few others, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to defend the ones I didn't speak to today. Big up, Terry. Heard a Spurs fan yesterday say their defense is just as good as Arsenal's. No, I mean, listen, would they have been beaten 3-0 if Mickey van der Ven was playing? Potentially not. I thought Dragusin looked slow today on a couple of the goals, but at the same time, it's not as good as Arsenal's. And sometimes the amount of goals you concede isn't always a great barometer. You've got to look at the amount of clear-cut chances you concede, the amount of shots, like proper shots people have against you, and also the eye. And you know with Arsenal, they're so hard to break down compared to anybody else in the league, by the way. So yeah, Spurs fans saying that, I think they're wrong. Deji said that Spurs will finish above Arsenal. I know. Football gods, they're real. Spurs fans remind me of Howard Stern movies. Rivals watch longer than they are just to hear what they're going to say next. Please bring that Spurs kid on. He was warned. He's not here today, mate. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. Today was an eye-opener for Spurs are not good enough for Europe. We are an okay team, but so much more is needed. You are, but you still want to qualify for it because that means you can buy better players and then be in it and improve. This idea that you shouldn't, I'm not saying you're saying this, Jerome, but a lot of people are like, I don't want to qualify until I know we can win it. But you need to get European experience at the same time. It's you know, it's like saying I'm not going to buy my kid shoes until he learns to walk. They still need shoes. Their cold feet will get cold. Do you know what I mean? And they've also got to learn to walk in shoes because the first couple of times you put your kid in shoes, if they've only ever walked in bare feet, it's like they're walking on the moon and they fall over a lot. So you've got to do both things at the same time, bruv. Was up there with Newcastle away last year. Fulham deserved every bit of that. Fair play, but wow, genuinely despise some of this squad with a passion. I hear you, Cal. I absolutely hear you, brother. Ange, Bielsa finally getting exposed. Look at God. I don't know if he's been exposed. Spurs fans think they are going to smash Arsenal. Listen, if Spurs put that performance in against Arsenal, I needed to thank so bad there, and I'm so glad I didn't. It's not that bad, but people will take it in a bad way. I'll tell everyone backstage what it was later. It's just a meme. It's a meme from a really popular British sitcom, but you just can't say the word. Fulham lost to Liverpool, Man City. Fulham Kingmakers, not Spurs. They beat United as well. They battered us at home. We made Fulham look like prime Barcelona at the Camp Nou, the new camp. Absolutely disgraceful performance. Is from Slick Gossip. Thank you, bro. Big up the football terrace. North London is red. Thank you, brother. Or the toxic terrace, as I'm calling it now. That's what you lot are called. A lot of people keep telling me they don't want to come on the show because the viewers are too toxic. I don't think you are. I just think you get. I just think you push back what you get. Does that make sense? Like if someone's on the show and they call you dickheads, you're going to go back at a minute. I think you guys are great, but maybe that's just me. If they miss out altogether, they will have bottled the Champions League qualification. Yes, I think so. If they miss out from this point, Spurs, 100% you can call that bottling, in my opinion. Where's George and Deji? I don't know. We need them to come on and speak with Chest. They'll probably talk about how Arsenal didn't pick up any points this weekend. Confidence is quiet, insecure is loud. Who's been the most out there arse fan base this year? Exactly, is what Garrett says. Spurs will bottle it if United end up ahead of them. Yeah, if we end up ahead of them, I mean, what you'll get from some Spurs fans will be, yeah, but look how much you spend, you're Man United, we're little old Spurs, of course you should be ahead of us. Nah. Have you seen how bad we are? You've laughed at us all year. You've laughed at us, our manager, all year. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. They talk with a lot of chest to hide a void any labeling after a defeat like that. Shame on you, Spurs fans who duck this smoke. How can you expect to make it as a football content creator if you can't show up when things go wrong? So this last super chat made me laugh. Flange ball 3.0. Show us your flange. Oh, I haven't heard that word in years. Get your flange out. Get your flange out, bruv. A flange. That's also a noise. If you're editing sound on like an editing kit, like flange is a noise it can make as well. Big up everyone with a flange. Love ya. Listen, we're going to bring the panel right now to have their say. We've got Alan, we've got Kate, we've got Strasbourg C, we've got man like Patrick, as in City Patrick, not Spurs Patrick. Matt and Sard are here. I wonder why Matt and Sard are here. I wonder why Matt and Sard have turned up this evening. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all good. Kate, I'm going to come to you first. Thoroughly destroyed, really, today by a much better Fulham team.
Yeah, do you know what? It's not very often I don't know what to say, but I don't actually know what to say. It was just abysmal. They tore us to shreds. Ange was way too late in making his changes, in my opinion. I sometimes kind of wish Ange would switch it up a bit. You know, if we're playing Johnson on one side and Kulu on the other, just switch it about and try and change it up a little bit. Make the team, you know, have to think about how we're playing. It was all a bit one-dimensional, all a bit predictable. And, yeah, just an absolutely disgraceful performance and a wake-up call to these Tottenham fans who I've seen on here, Deji being one, saying that we can go toe-to-toe with Manchester City and Arsenal. It's time to wake up and smell the coffee and realise that, no, we cannot. We are a hell of a long way away.
I think today was a big eye-opener, Alan. I mean, it was just every area of the pitch. They were better in defence, better in midfield, more clinical up front. It was just an absolute whitewash, really.
In the first half, they had the better chances. We created two, and it could have been like 1-1, 2-2. It was a bit open, but they took their chance. They got the goal, and at 1-0, you're really thinking that at halftime. I said on my watch-on that I would have done a sub at halftime. I would have brought on Timo Werner or Brendan Johnson or Kulu, but we do nothing. We do nothing. We go 2-0 down in 49 minutes. Do we react? Absolutely not. We go 3-0 down 12 minutes later, 61st minute. Do we react? Not really. We could have gone 4-0 down. And that's when you look, when the goal was ruled out, you look across and it's 3 subs. You've blocked 2 goals in quick succession, not even quick succession. I'm not even doing it justice today. Way back when England didn't make the Euros, there was a Wally with the Brolly who didn't react and didn't do anything. Today, Ange Postecoglou on that touchline, and I back him, was the Wally without a Brolly. He literally was a statue. He done nothing. I didn't want to swear. He was absolutely awful today. I back him. I say he's going to win, but you have to criticise where you need to criticise. He was a statue on the touchline. The players, a lot of them weren't good enough. Basuma, awful. Both Brendan Johnson and Kulu again on the wings, not that good. Literally, we were going around and getting behind Villa on last weekend. Today, it was all in front. It was so easy. It was just poor. It was absolutely piss poor from start to finish. This is on the team. This is on the manager. It was just a shit show from minute one. No people that will come on here and go, but you have to give Ange time. Look, I've said I back Ange and I reckon he'll win Spurs trophies 2 or 3 years down the line. But this is a process that's going to take time. And then literally, we go all that hard work against Villa last week, out the window, done, in a puff of smoke. Absolutely pathetic. I just, no one can be defended today. It was just shit.
It was. I want to ask both of you about this. Dragusin made his I think it was his starting debut. It's the first game I remember him starting. What did you make of his performance today?
I know. I heard you say that you didn't think he was great. I don't think he was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it was terrible. I just thought the whole team would just bang average, really, at best. But you know, he looks strong. He looks like he can hold up the ball. He's got a good pass on him. But I just don't know. I don't know what was going on with the team today. I mean, being a Spurs fan is like driving a car with no engine. You can make it look good, but you know you ain't going nowhere. It's just one of them things. It's like 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back. And every day when I watch, or every week when I watch a performance like this, I think, well, I won't say the word, but I hate my family for turning me into a Spurs fan because it's so frustrating. There's just no consistency at all. But I'm not going to lay into Dragusin because I don't think he was our worst player on the pitch at all. I think there's definitely a player in there that just everybody was below par. Not one player can I say, you know, oh, well, you know, at least they tried or they stood up to be counted. It was just awful. And I agree with Alan. This whole Ange Postecoglou standing on the sidelines with his hands in his pockets, I don't like it. It really pisses me off. I'm not saying he's got to be screaming and shouting and running up and down, but at least try and G the fans up, G your boys up, and make changes. We could all see that we were getting overrun, and he just let the game carry on, and it's so frustrating.
One thing I wanted to just say quickly about Dragusin, I was obviously watching my game of football training match, basically, versus Man City. But I did have the game on the side, and one thing I wanted to note about Dragusin is, because I watched him at Genoa. He comes from a team managed by Alberto Gilardino. They played 3 at the back. So I think at certain points in the game, again, when I watched the game for a few seconds here and there, felt like with Dragusin, he was trying to figure out positionally, where do I be? Where does, where's Romero? Where's the fullback? So he kind of, because it is a transition from 3 at the back to 4. So, but what I would say is that he's one of the only guys on there that did anything about your woeful, and this has been a consistent problem for Spurs. One thing you could criticize them very fairly on is set pieces for sure. And that's something that Dragusin is very, very good at and was, exceptional.
Yeah, I think, listen, I like I said in my bit, I didn't think he was that good today. I think he was a little bit slow. And maybe that's what you said. Maybe it's understanding the positioning. And also I know he's come on as a sub, but Premier League football is really fast. And I remember watching Vidic join. I was at the game that Vidic and Evra started for the first time. It was a 12:45 kickoff at Main. It might not have been Main Road. It might be their new stadium. It might have been where the Etihad is now. But it was one of the stadiums in the Manchester Derby where City were rubbish back in those days. They battered us though. And I remember walking out stadium and this old head that I used to go with, who was in his 60s, seen it all at United. He just said, why are we wasting our money on those two? Because they really didn't look up to Premier League speed. And he just looks to me like he needs a bit of time to settle. But I hear what you're saying there. Alan, Timo Werner, that miss from him today, is that the reason why people like yourself just looked at it? That deal was why?
It is, but he weren't the only one that done something like that today. Like simple things at the end. Look, I think he came on and put more effort in. I think he's done better than I gave him credit for, but he's still not the answer that Spurs need to go on and win a title or challenge for trophies or go to the next level. He's not the answer, but he came on and showed a lot more on the ball or a lot more intent than anyone else. Yep, you could say that he should have finished that, and he really should have done. But like I said, there was times where simple things like decision-making in the final third, first time balls in behind, didn't do, take an extra man, an extra touch, didn't do that, passing it back when he should have gone forward, not taking a man on, not getting... It was just everything today. For every good we did against Villa, might as well not have happened. It might as well just been a dream, because that was just a nightmare, that second half. And again, I'm sorry, but I've criticised, and you know this, Terry, I've criticised, although I praise Ange, I then criticise his decision-making in these substitutions. I understand if you want to keep the 11 on the second half, but as soon as you go down that 2-0 down that early, everyone fan on here knows you then have to react. You go 2-0 down that early on, it hasn't worked, you react. You don't wait 12 minutes and lose another goal where the game is gone to react. That's one of my biggest criticisms today. But Timo Werner...
What did you make of him? What did you make of him taking off James Maddison? I'm not saying James Maddison was having a great game, but James Maddison comes off, then I look at who's remaining on the pitch and who he brings on. Yeah. Where's the creativity that's going to come from? So you're throwing on more attackers, but then there isn't that person that picks the locks.
I mean, I think Maddison, because I couldn't hear the game because doing a watch along, I thought he might have, because he did get his foot caught by Paulinho, being injured. But like you say, we're chasing, we're 3-0 down, you look at needing a goal. Why on earth are you not putting Richarlison on earlier? He's the striker. You put the likes of Højbjerg on before him. That sends a message if ever I've heard it. Quite clearly, he doesn't believe in him, which then means Spurs have to get a striker. But then are you going to buy a striker or a winger? There's a lot to work out, Spurs. And this is why I never co-sign the Spurs are in the title charge, Spurs are this and that. Why run before we can walk? We know it's going to take time. Just let the team get there. We praise, and I saw a lot of my fan base on my channel saying, they were praising highly about Villa, which is good. But as soon as it was going wrong, people couldn't criticize as much as they praised. You've got to be able to do both. You can't go, well, we're fantastic one week, but as soon as we're bad, no, there's reasons why we're bad. No, if we're going to overpraise, you need to over criticize as well. But yeah, I'm such a bad mood. I'm in such.
I bet you what, Kate. I wonder for a question to you that the viewers have put in today. if you don't make Champions League football, especially now that the top 5 position should guarantee it, would you consider that a bad? I'm not going to use the word bottle, but would you consider that a bad season considering how well you started?
Well, I had us down to finish 7th in the first season. So personally, for me, I wouldn't. But the fact that where we've been and the fact that no team has dropped out the top 4 when they've been top in the first 10 games or some stupid stat, then yeah, I mean, it'll be horrendous. But I mean, I watched that team today and I think, God, if we was in the Champions League, we would get absolutely ripped to shreds. We just looked, it was just awful. And Maddison did come off because he's got an injury. He was limping and what have you.
Oh, it
but
was
I
an
mean,
injury, was it? Okay.
yeah, even if Maddison had to come off, I mean, I don't like Lo Celso at all. I think he's crap, but he's a better option for creativity than someone like Højbjerg. So why didn't he do that? I just think sometimes Ange makes really strange substitutions. Now, whether that is because he's new to the Premier League or what, I don't know. But it's just the worst thing in the world being a Tottenham fan. I don't think there's any team in the world worse to support than Spurs, because you never know what you're going to get. You don't get the glory, you just get the shit 99% of the time.
Do you know what's funny? When I was growing up, I always used to think my dad was weird because he had 5 boys. We all love football. And he genuinely let us pick whatever teams we wanted. He didn't tell us about it's got to be local, it's got to be London. He said, anyone you want, you can support. My dad's like that in every way of life. Like, if me and my four other brothers all converted tomorrow to different religions, he'd say, are you happy? We'd say, yes, Dad. He'd go, fine, I'm happy for you to be whatever you want to be. We used to think it was weird, though, that he didn't make us support the same team as him. But I can't tell you, my dad, that's the best bit of parenting he's ever done. Because he has saved all 5 of his children a lifetime of fear, sorrow, pain, sporting depression. And, you know, he had to suffer with one that was an Arsenal fan, one that was Leyton Orient. That didn't really bother him too much. And then the Liverpool and Man United, the rest. So for him, I think he's had to sit there and watch that for the last 40 odd years since him and my mum had us. But thank you, Dad. Thank you so much for being the brilliant man that you are and not inflicting me with the same depression that we see on Alan and Kate's lovely faces right now. Jerome here said, Terry, this is funny. When Arsenal lose, no Spurs fans are allowed on. But when we lose, we have 2 Arsenal faces. It's 3 actually now. Just kidding. We deserve the smoke. I know you're only kidding, but I will say this. The links to come on go into the group chats that have everybody in. So the guys that are in our group chats, and there's lots of them, they're free to come on to any match reaction they want. That's why they're in the group chats. And some of the group chats have got like 50, 60 people in them. So it's not on me if they don't show up. But I'm going to go to Saad first. As a Gooner, what are you here to say?
You know what? Listen, firstly, I want to say big up to Alan and big up to Kate, because they're the only realistic fans in this fan base. A lot of these guys smoke budge, and it's some hard shit, bro. It's some hard shit. So we need to figure out what's going on there. They need to give me numbers to their dealers, bro, because I need to know what's going on. Yesterday, you know, I was watching Big Up Footy Judge Mo, man. Big Up Footy Judge Mo. I was watching his channel, and I'm hearing R11 on any day, our full starting 11 can go against any single team, any team in the league. Are you skunked? Are you okay? Are you no, you have to ask this question. Are you actually okay? Like, okay, I'll give my props here. Ange has done a very good job. For where he's gotten you to, from where you were last season, he's done a good job. Okay, but he's made mistakes along the road. There's been some bumps in the road, but let's not go over the top. Let's not overrate your players, because Son has had bad games. So has Maddison. So has Romero, definitely. Even Van de Ven, who I rate very highly. Yeah. Bro, these guys continuously sit there and say they're going to finish above Arsenal, who are flying. Meanwhile, they look shaky at times. They concede an abnormal amount of goals. I think today they became the team with the most goals in the top 6. in the top 6. They became the team with that conceded the most goals.
Yeah, 42 goals.
Yeah.
They've actually conceded 3 more goals than Man United.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. It's crazy. So when I speak to some of these Spurs fans, I just have one message because listen, I'm just here to give them one message. Yeah, calm down. You're not that guy yet. You're still growing. You're a baby. So just relax. You don't need to sit here overreact. Romero's better than Saliba. Odegaard is not as good as Madison. Like, bro, chill out. You don't need to do that. Yeah. That's why Kate right now and Alan are on here, because they don't talk out the backside. They don't talk in Terry's words, which I love this one. They don't talk out of both sides of their mouth. They just spit facts, so they can come on here and they can take it. They can take the cooking. Well, they don't even get cooked because they speak facts. It's just that simple. I'm glad you guys got humbled today. That was your first 11, and they got smacked around the park, bro. Played right off of it by Fulham, a team that got beat 5-0 on 2 occasions this season. So please have some respect. Have some respect, bro, and don't start chatting out your ear, bro. You frauds.
I hear you there. Dayo's here as well. What are you here to say, bro?
I mean, honestly, the only reason I came on today is because I was the one in that debate yesterday with Deji and Will, and certain things that they said.
What channel was it on? Because I want to go and watch it.
It was Footy Judge Mo.
It was a debate. That's my show in the morning. I'm on that. Thank you.
And Will, you know, was talking stats. Oh, you need to go and look at the proper stats. Our first 11, the games that they played against your first 11. And I was like, look, and I said this clearly yesterday. I said, look, what Ange has done with Tottenham is good. They're playing good football. I will never take that away. Ange literally has put the team in a place where I said, but this is about your entire squad and the club. This is not just about one-off great games. It's about building the entire club from within, right? And then I told him, I said, you're being delusional if you're saying that your team is better than Arsenal at this point. Mm-hmm. And his question to me was, define what delusion is. And I'm like, I don't have to. I'm not Google and I'm not Webster's dictionary. I'm not supposed to. You know what delusion means. It means you're not literally looking at what is real and accepting it. You're being delusional, you know? And that's the reason I watched that game today, because I really wanted to see the first 11, and maybe I was missing something, you know, or maybe I'm looking at it through the Arsenal fans, you know. I was like, no, let me just look at this game honestly, and they were crap across the pitch.
Yeah, the thing with stats is, though, I'm someone who likes stats. I use stats in my analysis, Dio. The problem is, you look at today's stats. It was 16 shots to 14, but that doesn't tell you a story, because it was 13 shots to 6 when at 3-0. And then Fulham sat back and absorbed and countered. And there was one really good chance with Werner that came after that. But all those shots after, a lot of them were speculative. They were pop shots. So if you just look at how many shots you had, it was a close game, wasn't it? We had more of the ball, almost as many shots. But that wasn't the story of the match. You had to have watched it to have understood it, you know? And I think that's the problem if you just look at stats and you overlap them, go, well, our stats are very similar to Arsenal's, therefore we're as good as them. That removes the sort of the eye test element. Now, I think the eye is important, but you have to back that up with stats and facts as well. It's about blending the two together. And I find in football, you get those sort of football purists that don't want to do anything other than look at the eye test. And then you get people that are far too detailed in the stats, and the eye test is just not even applicable to them. And you have to look at both those things. For anyone to suggest on their day, Spurs can beat anyone in the league, but over a 10-game period now, if you were to say to me, right, Spurs against Liverpool, City, Arsenal over a 10-game period, which of the two is going to finish with the most wins and the most points? They're playing all the same teams, all the same grounds. I'm picking all 3 of them over Tottenham. That's not because I disrespect Tottenham. It's because what I see, what I witness over the last couple of years, all 3 of those teams are better than Tottenham. The stats, there'll be some areas that Spurs are equal to them, but overall as a team, they're not as good. It's as simple as that. And I think Spurs fans that pretend they're as good as Arsenal, it's crazy. Do you want to know what the ultimate stat is that lets you know who the best team is and who the worst team is? And it's been in existence now for 130 years. It's called the league fucking table. you know? And by the way, Spurs fans that do this, oh, look, our best 11 versus this versus your best 11 is better. Arsenal fans were doing that 4 years ago. And I called them out for it then as well because I think it's flawed. When people go, look, when my strongest 11 plays, we average this many points. Therefore, if we had the strongest 11 available for all 28 games, we'd have 17 points more, which means we'd be top. But have you factored in the teams you were playing with those 11 players? Did they have any injuries as well? So your first 11 might have played an Aston Villa team, and this is hypothetical here, that had 3 of its first team players out. When you play Brighton might have had 5 players missing. But when Arsenal played them, yes, Arsenal had a full 11, but maybe Brighton had their full 11. Do you get where I'm coming from? To do that kind of analysis, you've got to apply the same logic and rules for every single team. And no one's ever done that in football before. If for 130 years, that kind of statistical breakdown has never existed, football clubs don't. If football clubs aren't doing it, generally speaking, I think it's a load of old nonsense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of stuff is crazy to me. Sorry to butt in, but yeah, I mean,
like someone saying to me yesterday, he's like, "Oh, but still with 10 games left in the season, we're going to finish above Arsenal." And I said, please say that again. Like, I want you to say that again. This is a Tottenham fan telling me, and I said, "Do you want to put a wager on it?" And of course, Mo said, "No, we don't do that on that." I said, "All right, cool." But you can't say to me with 10 games left to go in the season, you're going to finish above Arsenal. He says, "I can guarantee you that Arsenal is going to lose 3 games." And I was like, I don't know if we're going to lose 3 games. I don't know if we're going to win all our games. All I do know is the form that we're in is a good form. And if we keep it up, it simply means you cannot finish above Arsenal. So it's the delusion for me. It's just the fact that, and I feel bad because Kate and Alan, you are not those Tottenham fans. And I'm going to say this to you, you're not those Tottenham fans. I've watched you for a long time. I've heard you guys speak. And it pisses me off that you guys are the ones who have to come on here and hear this from us. Like, it annoys me. Like, I wish it wasn't you sitting here. I wish it was Will, Deji, and some of those delusional guys, because the words that I want to give to them, I won't pass it through you guys.
Keep giving us the sympathy because we need it. Because we're Spurs fans. So I'll take all the sympathy you've got: chocolate, ice cream, whatever. Just chuck it
I'll tell you somebody else that needs to be called out. This guy.
Well, right? No, there's no two ways about it. I like the way Spurs play.
I'm getting sick of this, though. I'm getting sick of it, mate. Everyone's like Spurs. Yeah, but you're still Spurs.
Jay.
Arsenal last season, when they started at the start of the season, they were top after 8 games, right? Flying. Everyone's like, Arsenal can win the league. Arsenal can do this. Arsenal can do that. Right, Tottenham, top of the league, international break, 8 games. Everyone's still like, they got no chance. You do well to get in the top 4. No, we're talking about. We're top.
I think you get top 4, right? I'm pretty sure you get top 4, right?
But you wasn't saying top 4 a few weeks ago, was you?
Say again?
You said you weren't saying top 4 a few weeks ago.
What, Spurs?
You weren't saying it a few weeks
ago.
Who
was? How long ago?
Here we go.
I know, but it's 8 games, Brian. Haven't you got double figures?
Down.
He's just jealous, mate. You're on page 2. Chelsea are on page 2.
You're jealous. I mean, I saw that and I'm just like, this is by the way, nobody after 8 games was saying Arsenal could win it. Everybody was writing them off. People were still writing Arsenal off, and in the end, they were right to after 30 fucking games. Like Cole and Jamie spinning that narrative, but yeah, absolute crazy day indeed. We've got some super chats to go through here that I don't want to ignore. Timo never changed, brother. It's funny watching him. He's such an interesting player, Timo Werner. I really can't quite put my finger on what he is. I feel bad for Alan. Has to hold it because a teenage boy overrates Spurs and thinks they're better than Arsenal. You can almost say he's the Spurs Don. I like that.
Human body shield setting. Shout out Kate. Shout out Alan. Human body shield.
Do you know when I feel bad for Alan? Is whenever he's on the show and he just puts in a little bit of constructive criticism. Most of the other Spurs fans peck at his head. And they just they see red and they go crazy. And all he's saying is, yeah, it'd be like, I think I'd like us to go and get a world-class beep, whatever position it is. How dare you say that? Ain't good enough. Like they go at him, they go mad. Spurs fans, Porro is better than White. Van der Ven is better than Saliba. Romero is better than Gabriel, and Udogie is better than Zinni. But they can see 42 conceded, just 24 for Spurs. Yeah, I mean that's part of it, isn't it? I mean, and when we've done combined 11s, your starting midfield often gets at least 1, maybe 2 players in it. If your defense was better and your midfield's at least 50%, surely you'd concede less than 42 goals compared to 24.
The thing is, though, you're speaking to me and Alan, who don't say this sort of crap. We don't say that Romero's better than Gabriel and Udogi's better than Zinchenko and Porro's better than White or whatever other things. I've never come on the terrace and said that. But it's these crazy mad fans that come on and say all this crap and we get the crap for it, which is fine because I'm old enough and ugly enough to take it. But some of us have got our feet on the ground and know exactly where we are.
Yeah, I hear
You're
you.
not ugly, Kate, by the way. There you go.
Would you say, Sard?
Be nice
I
to
said
you,
you're not ugly, mate. You're not ugly.
Thanks. I thought you was
Hey.
dissing me
man.
out then. You was going to get it.
Hey,
There you are.
Sard's getting his riz out. Do you know what I mean? On a
No,
show.
there's no
Hang
riz,
on,
bro.
What I'll do.
You're being gentlemanly.
Hang on a minute.
Tell
Hang
her
on a
not
minute.
to be yourself.
Hang on a
There you go.
minute. Hang on. I was going to move Kate down there so you're next to each other. There we go.
yeah.
Move it down the screen. There we go. Sorry, Jimbo, if you can hear me. Sorry, Jimbo.
Jim's a legend, bro. I was watching him on stream as well.
To all those Spurs fans who are convinced for some reason that Gallagher will be a beast under Ange, how about fix the bums like Werner and Brennan Johnson first? Like Alan, has your mind been changed at all by Brennan Johnson? Because I remember when you criticised him maybe 2 months ago. Again, that was one of those players that a lot of Spurs fans came at you over. Has your mind changed at all?
So, look, he's had his best performance, and I praised him on your show last week. But I did say it's one game. He has to now turn one game into 5 to 10 to a half a season to a season and go from there. And people will go, and this is the Brennan Johnson we knew we'd get, this and the other. And I was just like, okay, fair enough. I'll take it because he's. But again, today, just literally the same kind of performance. He's not at this level. He'll have the odd good performance, but we've been down this road before with players that will have a good game or a good couple of games. Bergwijn, Lennon, and Kudu and G's like have good flash pans like certain parts, Lucas Moura, and then be irrelevant for a long period of time. Lamella, loads of a passion for the club and that, but he 17 or 19 goals in 7 or 8 years isn't good enough. This is what Spurs need to get out of the habit of. When people have 1 or 2 good games, people get in their feels like, yeah, this is what we need to do. None of these, like apart from Son, I would be honest and put my hand up and say, none of this front line for me is good enough to take Spurs on to challenge for a trophy or challenge at the top end on a consistent basis. And that's the area we need to. The defense in the midfield, you can say work in progress, nearly there. But there's so much more to do up front. And it's not just Brennan Johnson, although he's obviously the biggest one that Spurs are trying to push, or Spurs fan base is trying to push. But he's just not good enough. He'll have the odd good performance, which I'll praise, but more often than not, no, he's just nowhere near good enough to be at Spurs. He's not good enough.
I hear you there. I think he has been a poor signing. I don't know how much better he can really be, really. But this year says building to be good is faster and easier than building to be great. The journey to great is ugly. The journey to good can be fun. What do you think Levy has the stomach for?
Levy don't care.
He doesn't. He really doesn't. He couldn't give two. He couldn't give two shits if Tottenham are winning trophies or not. As long as they position themselves in a place that gets them the maximum profits, that's all he cares about.
And if they do 2 major concerts a year, they have to do 2 major concerts a year.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's a disrespect.
Really?
I know Tottenham. Are I don't like Tottenham or anything, yeah, and I don't like the fans either. But except for obviously Kate and Alan, they're legends. They're legends. But I have to be real. It's hella disrespectful to the fans. Hella disrespectful to the fans what he does, because the fans want to go on there. They want to see the team winning. They want to see the team winning trophies, and he doesn't go for it.
Do you know what it is though? Financially, they do. They spend more on salary per year than Arsenal by about 40 million, and maybe in the last 4 years, Arsenal have spent slightly more than them. But you're not talking hundreds and hundreds of millions more. It's about buying correctly. It's about buying the right type of person. I think Spurs are the 5th highest spenders in Premier League history. Only City, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool have spent more. And by the way, Man United, Liverpool have only spent a couple of 100 million more than them in the whole of the Premier League history. So this idea that Spurs don't spend, I know that people will throw net spend into it, and I understand that to a degree, but they do spend money. They just don't spend it well enough, regularly enough, in my personal opinion. Because if Arsenal can be top of the league right now and looking okay in the Champions League with lesser income, smaller wage bills, I don't see why it's impossible for Spurs not to get there if they employ the right people and make the right signings. It's plausible that they could do it, because imagine spending less on salary per year, which is the biggest expense clubs look at, than Arsenal. But Arsenal can make it. But the narrative is that Spurs don't spend to try and make it. If you're spending more, and it's why I'm embarrassed as a Man United fan about my club, we spend more than City, but we're much, 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 much worse than them. You know, it's not that we don't try to do it in terms of managerial spending, it's that we spend it poorly. And I feel like Spurs are similar to Man United in that way. It's wasted money rather than no money, looking at the facts behind it all.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
you know
me.
what else separates Spurs and Arsenal and the other clubs that have the money to spend it? This is something, it's an intangible. It's something that you can't buy. It's something you can't sell. Ambition. Man City, whenever I see their higher ups speaking, whenever I hear Florentino Perez speaking, whenever I hear any of these mega successful guys in football or other sports, they speak with vigor and ambition. Levy don't. You don't have that ambition.
No,
man.
I understand. Yeah, that element.
Not only do his words not inspire anything, his actions don't either.
I hear you. This here says crispy settings for Nando's FC, aka the little nephews from down the street. No excuses. You man got one game a week and still getting put in a deep fryer.
Wait, who's that for? For Newcastle or Spurs? Because we both got one game a week.
Nando's, isn't it? The chicken. Spurs fans bring this shit on themselves. So much false chest. They won the league in October. Hashtag Levy out. Gone very quiet. Man, you will sneak top 4. I hope you're right. I want it next year.
I just don't understand the pressure that they put on the team, because
what do you mean?
They've literally just started their project, right? So there really shouldn't be any expectation as to where they come in the league table.
Mate, I think control.
But there should be expectation.
Yeah, but there should no again. But which is where Matt's right. I think clubs and fans can help to control a narrative around their club. Liverpool supporters are the best in the world at doing it. They control what's said about their club, right? Some journalists are too scared to tell the truth because they know the fans will come for them. When Spurs fans start saying we're winning the league, it makes it so that everybody is waiting for you to fail. The players will feel that pressure. Whether people say this isn't true, but the managers have told us that clubs now spend so much money on the psychologist because of the way what's said online filters into dressing rooms. All these kind of things filter in. So why put unnecessary, unneeded, unwarranted pressure upon your team when it doesn't need to exist straight away? When the world isn't putting pressure on you, don't apply it yourself per se. Not at the beginning, not year one. Just let it go by. But maybe that's just me. This here says, reason why I don't listen to other Spurs fans on the football terrace is that they never come on when their team drops the ball. Kudos to Kate and Alan. Thank you, bro.
Danny does, but he has a lot of excuses, but he'll learn.
In fairness to George and Patrick, they seldom do match reactions, to be fair. Very rarely. I'm going to put a link out later for the Top 6 show Monday. I don't know if they'll be there. Alan and Kate are always left to pick up the pieces after Will and Deji speak. In fairness, Will and Deji didn't speak on this channel. I know that Mo is a big part of the football terrace. He's part of our family, but it wasn't directly this channel, to be fair. And neither did confirm they were coming on. I have said that already on the show. I feel bad for them, but I wonder if they won 3-0, who would have been here? That's always in the back of my mind.
You would have a full panel tell, bro. It would have been too many people in the background.
I actually wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been here because I've got loads to do. But you know what? When I saw you saying people ain't turned out, I thought I ain't having that. I ain't having that. People thinking we're bottlers, so I'm going to go on there.
Hang on a minute. You're telling me that Jimbo's got to wait for his dinner?
Terry canceled. You're gonna get canceled, Terry. No,
that's their dynamic, mate. That's their dynamic. I'm telling you. I know them well. They invited me around their house for a cup of tea, and I was like, "Oh, great, that's great." And then Jimbo said, "Remember your car keys?" I didn't know what he meant, so it's just one of them ones. So. The fact that Spurs haven't shown a big club mentality ever, the recruitment is atrocious and seems very reactive rather than planned.
Under Levy, you could say yes, but let's not forget Spurs have had players like Jurgen Klinsmann, high quality, extremely good striker for the time. Gascoigne, who's a French winger, Newcastle.
But that's what they do, though. That's what they do.
But I look at this year. I look at like the Madison signing and the Vicario signing. That's planning because they sign quality players. Van de Ven, no one, and I do so many transfer videos. There was barely any talk about that leading up to the summer. There was no fan of any club with those, barring Madison, Vicario and Mickey Van de Ven. There was no fan that come at any of these shows going, do you know who I'd like to buy? He's one of these two. That's probably because they're not wonder kids or brilliant on FIFA or Football Manager, but nobody was talking about them, but they've come in and look brilliant. That is planning. I look at someone like Brennan Johnson and I think, all right, we've got a little bit of money to spend. Go for him. That's what you've got to get. You're better off, in my opinion, not signing someone than buying the wrong person and panicking personally.
I think there's just something wrong with Tottenham. Let's just call it what it is. There's just something wrong because they've had really good players. It's either organizationally like as a club, the people who run it behind, or the water that they're drinking there, something is wrong.
It's mentality, man. Mentality.
Yeah, look, Patrick, apart from mentality, right?
Ambition.
Look, see, apart from mentality, ambition, we've seen players there who have ambition. Okay, so I know people talk about this whole world class, and now they say Harry Kane is world class. And I said, I agree with you that a player like Harry Kane, who was at Tottenham, is world class. Why? Because any top club in the world would have him. Yes. If any top club in the world would have you on their team, you're world class. That's how I define it. Like I don't define it based on your performance or what. Look, dude, if any club in the world, top club, feels that you're going to be a positive for them and they'll have you, you're world class. Now, Tottenham has had.
Who's gone?
Daniel Levy is shutting down. Daniel Levy came in and said, "We're not having it." Daniel Levy said, "He's back with us now. He's back with us.
I think the kids pulled the router. I have a 4-year-old who's a tyrant.
Love it.
So I was saying, like, Tottenham has produced some world-class players and they've had a good team at any game, but for some reason. There is if you don't believe in superstitious stuff, I believe that club is cursed.
It's not cursed.
Mentality-wise, ambition-wise, if you change Levy, you still need to get a priest in there to do whatever they do with the holy water thing and get rid of
That's a bit low.
No, they need it. I'm telling you.
Every planning that they do, for every plan they do, Vicario and Van de Ven were the right people bought. Although I didn't want Vicario at the beginning, they were the right people bought because Van de Ven plays Ange's style in regards to the keeping, like the pacing behind to deal with the thing. Vicario is the sweeper keeper that also comes out. So the right buyers, Madison the playmaker, linking up. Brennan Johnson was a homegrown thing or a club buyer. I'm sure of it. Veliz, not the right person. And then you've got Phillips, who was bought in, who went straight out on loan. Or pretty much straight out on loan. So for every right thing we do wrong. I will say till the day today I died that these owners are the cancer to this club. And I'll tell you for why. We've now got Spurs fans coming out and saying, oh, Tottenham as a business, a run thing. When the hell has anyone on this channel or anyone who's watched football got into football to support their club because they're business? You support them because of good football, challenging, winning trophies, success. But some of this fan base now has just got into their head. We're financially stable. We're this, we're that. We're FFP giants off the pitch. Who gives a flying? I'm not going to swear, but who cares what we are off the pitch? Nobody gets into football to go, my club, financially stable.
You want to be all those things so that it generates winning. Do you know what it sounds like when Spurs fans say that? I didn't know they were saying those things, but just listening to you, Alan, it's like when Arsenal were not winning anything. And they used to go, yes, but let's talk about net spend. And it was like, one, clubs don't use net spend. And just the fact that you lose all your best players, so your net spend is good, why are you celebrating that? It's like me saying to someone, like, I've got more money than you. That's because your wife left you. I know, but it's better because I've got more money. It's just ridiculous. And look, I've got to end the show fairly soon. So I want to get onto Man City, but I've got to play this clip first. Someone sent to me. A few of your comments in the private chat. Do you really believe that? I don't want to out you. If you want to say it.
We're going to win the league. Terry, I'm going to say it to you now. I'm going to say it to everyone watching. We're going to win the league. I don't care what type of things anyone's trying to say to me. I do not care. We're winning the league. We'll beat City home and away, easy, right? Arsenal want to Chelsea want to chat. You saw what happened when Chelsea want to chat. United fans had to come in and back it. Let's be real. We're winning the league. I don't care. We get the points. We clean up. We're top of the league. Let's celebrate it.
Do you know what I love about that clip, right? Is that
Everyone's body
Kane and
language.
Alan were just literally, they were shaking their head because they knew. They fucking knew.
They knew what was coming. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Look, Patrick, really, really good result today for yourselves. Through to 6th semi-final on the bounce, another record for Manchester City. But it was easy today, wasn't it? I mean, I was trying to watch your game, but I couldn't. It just looked like a training match.
It did. And apologies to the Spurs fans in the comments. They're saying, why is the City fan not saying anything on the Spurs? As I told Saeed privately, I didn't even know Spurs were playing. And it's not. I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I seriously did not know Spurs were playing. So at least I've heard what went on. Look,
You've got to watch match of the day now.
I am, but because now I seriously didn't know that Spurs were playing. Like, to be honest with you, but that clip has just made me laugh. Look, it was actually quite easy at the point where I think I sat there and said, "What are we watching now?" You know, because Newcastle were just done. And me and Steve were talking on another channel during halftime, and he was telling me that I think these guys have given up, and we both agreed. They just gave up, and it's not even about the fact that it's only this match. I saw them in the Chelsea match. So I was expecting a bit of a fight, Terry. I was like, every time Newcastle plays City, they play on the counter. Isaac, Gordon, they sort of give us problems. Today, nothing. Only Bruno Guimaraes was trying to play football. The rest were just not doing anything at all. So look, easy game, and you're right. When you're watching it, it was as if we're just training because some of the players were trying new things. I saw Foden trying back heels. I saw Doku trying to become a midfielder, maybe to replace De Bruyne. They were all just experimenting. So I don't understand. And you know what? For the fact that Edison was injured and Ortega, yes, he's good on the ball, but under pressure, sometimes he sort of makes mistakes. I didn't see any of the Newcastle players run at him. They just left him. And Ortega had all the time, except one moment, to ping the ball to anybody. So look, it is what it is. At least it's a professional win. Hopefully we go on and they give us Coventry because we always get easy ties. We go through that and make it to the final and win another FA Cup. Possibly some people have started saying treble. If we win a second treble,
the double treble, the double treble is on, mate. Now you guys were just far too strong for Newcastle today. From your point of view, by the way, Peter, I just want to say about young Daniel, just back to Spurs quickly. I've just checked now, he did message me at 5:42. So only 10 minutes, 12 minutes into the game. So it wasn't when he didn't pull out when it went 3-0 down. That's other people did that. Plus, he is still a child, essentially. He's 15 years old. Give him a break on socials, please. He is young. Give him a break, please. I'm genuinely asking you for that. Steve, is it time for Mr. Howe to go? Because those players look absolutely disillusioned at the moment to me.
Yeah, nah, man, nah. You can't give up on Eddie. Nah, we were in the championship 6 years ago, Terry. He played Champions League football, Terry. Can't give up on him. No, he's got a lot of injuries. You know what I hear? A lot of just bullshit. To be honest, I'm fed up. The team's been dead since the Nottingham Forest lost on Boxing Day. Just a completely dead team. Every time I'm on the terrace talking about Newcastle, aside from maybe once, same thing. Unrecognizable team. People like their stats and stuff. So I tried to be a statistician for the second half when I was on Staffy doing the watch along. And roughly Newcastle United trailing 2-0, possessed the ball for a grand total of 8 minutes and 22 seconds, roughly, out of an available 45 minutes of play. We had 8 minutes and 22 seconds of possession, roughly. And how many shots on target? How many shots? Not many. I'd say one, maybe. So, yeah, another pathetic and predictable performance. The guy on the back of my shirt, DeAndre Yedlin, is still the latest Newcastle United player to score at the Etihad. That was in 2017. That's 6 straight visits to the Etihad. No goals scored. Probably, I think, 14 conceded. No wins, draws. Just the typical Newcastle thing when we go to the Etihad or even Main Road. Terrible. Yeah, the team's dead. Need to sell some players, but Eddie Howe, and that's why we need to just move on and part ways, because he's sticking with guys like Sean Longstaff, who's playing like a League One midfielder. And
He's
Eddie
taking
Howe's
you as far as he can.
Eddie Howe is just, yes, absolutely. He has hit his head on the wall, and that wall is not budging, or on the roof, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we're a dead team. It's over. It's done. Let's move on to a new manager. Let's refresh, because the car is out of gas. The car is not moving off of the lot. It needs gas. And Eddie Howe's not the guy to put the gas in the tank. He don't know how to, and he wants to do it in a stupid way. Yeah, I'm done. I'm just fed up, and we're gonna finish no better than 10th. Yeah, just the same regurgitated stuff that I've been saying for
a few weeks now. No, I hear you, mate. I really, really do. Super chat here says nobody thought Spurs would compete for top 4 beginning of the season. Ange is doing well, but they have a long way to go. Tough fixtures. No, I agree with that. I think that no one did, so that they've done better so far this season than anybody else expected them to. But with, for instance, Chelsea not being as good as everybody predicted, with Newcastle not being as good as everybody else predicted, for Man United not being as good as everybody else predicted, and starting the way they did after 10 games, record-breaking start to the season, they should be expected, with top 5 being Champions League places, to make it now. I think those two things can exist at the same time. Yesterday, those Spurs fans say they'll come third, but did they forget the Fulham game? It's crazy.
I'm completely missing something. Yesterday, those Spurs fans...
It wasn't on this channel. It was on Mo's. But obviously, a lot of our channels have the same people that view it, if that makes sense. Mo's obviously a big part of the Football Terrace and does his thing over there. So, yeah, crazy one for me. Look, viewers, do us a big favor and go and follow my new channel, The Squad. The content is coming soon, I promise you. Scan the QR code or click on the link in our description below to get that done. Look, boys, I want to thank you all very, very much for coming on and having your say today. We're back tomorrow. Fan channel review in the morning. I don't know if I'm live after the Chelsea game. I've got to speak to somebody for that tonight, because my daughter has got a dance show, which I'm, of course, going to watch. It doesn't finish till 3 o'clock. So I won't be watching that game. I've got to sort that out. But, of course, I'll be live after Manchester United versus Liverpool in the FA Cup. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.
United.